It's too hot to be working. We're going out today.
You having that one? Right.
Oh, lovely, yes. Lovely food.
Kisses. Kiss, kiss. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, love.
She's ready. Come on, don't keep the girl waiting.
Evie, kiss your face. Hello, the Mini's moved. What's been going on, Bert?
Trying to get it started.
You weren't, was you?
No.
Alright. As you can see, we've all been out, so we're off out again. The Mini's got to this position, not quite got out of the gates yet, but as you can see, it's not looking too bad. Jimmy's working on the doors at the moment, so we just take a walk up and have a look at him. Okay, so what he's done basically, he's just filled all around the edge of the doors. That's where we treated with a Paul 15, so that will be ready for a sand back in a second. As I say, Jimmy said that the actual hardener, the filler, is actually going off while he's mixing it. Obviously, because of the heat, it's 26 degrees out here at the moment. But we've also got this little beast, which is going to be totally resprayed. Now this, for those of you in the know, is an RS Turbo. So it had a few blemishes on it, like around the roof, for example, as you can probably see there. That's gone through, obviously, rust spots there. And also the rest of the roof, it's obviously had a respray before, or blow over. And what's happened is that they was all bubbling up with like water bubbles, so that's all got to be sanded back, which we're in the process of doing now. Any little blemishes that are going to be treated or filled, and then, as I say, there's a couple more bits on the actual front scuttle there. See, that's bubbled up, and also on this front scuttle panel here. So I don't know if you can see that. That's the actual sort of bubbling we had on the roof. If you pick them, or when you done that on the roof, you pick them and water actually was coming out. It's where it's probably been blown over before, but it was poorly prepared. So that's the sort of problem we got. So rather than just do little bits of the car, it's going to have a whole complete respray. So it's just a matter of preparing the surface now. It's just been taken down with 80 grit paper at the moment. So that's just to get all the blemishes out, to get it all level. We'll go over it with a 120 and fill in where necessary, and then we'll with a 320 or 400, and then we'll prime it, and then finally sand it down with an 800 wet sanded, ready for the new base coat, which is going to be the same colour red basically. So, but it's not a bad little motor, very retro. So quite a few things done to it. You might see there, it's the old turbo boost gauge there, the little silver gauge in the middle there. Total original spec for a was it a 90s? 1990 model this is. I think this is the Mark IV. No, those of you who've ever had any dealings with these motors, started off as an XR3, in the early 80s, and then it went to an XR3i, which is the injected version, right up to this sort of Mark IV version, which is the RS Turbo. What size engine you just got, Gary?
1600.
1600 turbocharged engine. As you can see, it's a little bit tricked up, this one. It's got a few anodised bits on it and polished bits and stuff, so not a bad looking tool. And it's got the old whistling wastegate, as you can probably see there. So once you give it a bit of stick, and on the overrun it gives a nice little whistle, just to let you know that it is a turbo. So all in all, it's not too much of a bad motor. Does it shift, Gary?
Oh yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hello, sorry? Oh, that's right, he sold this. Oh, sorry. He sold the Mini to Jimmy over there, as you can probably see. And that was to buy this, so that's what happened there. So Jimmy got stuck with the Mini, obviously. But when he sold the Mini, was it still this colour?
Half rubbed down, wasn't it? On left.
It was half rubbed down, yeah. So basically Jimmy took the Mini on, and it wasn't, as you know, like it is there now. It was basically all this sort of colour, so he mugged Jimmy off there, really, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
So Jimmy's...
It's got a good engine in it though.
Yeah, it's got a nice tuned engine in it, so... But it's nice to see the Mini actually move. As you can see, it's actually looking quite nice, actually. You put the boot on, although Gary, you did buy the wrong boot seal for that, by the way.
Yeah, you just said that.
You bought the later boot seal, which doesn't... it's only about £12.50, I think, but you wanted the early Mini one, so... We've still got the wheel arches to go on that. It's a bit dusty at the moment, so... But as you can see, I've just got rid of the little Mazda that used to be sitting in the corner over there. That went yesterday, so I was never going to do it. I've got a lawn tractor over there, which is on eBay at the moment, so that'll go. So I'm hoping to get a bit more room in my drive, and then suddenly the RS Turbo turns up, so there you go. But I've done nothing today. What do you mean as usual, Jimmy? Let me get out of there, Gary.
Rubbing down.
Rubbing down what?
Camper van.
Right, you've got that's at work.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to the Mini today? You filled in all around the edges. There's no dents to do, so you've got to sand all that back now, haven't you?
No, there is a dent.
Where?
The door handle.
Right, well, get it filled. If that's the dent you was talking about, a slight sand down and a little bit...
The bare metal.
No, you don't need to with that, because you've got a stopper filler. If it's only a very shallow dent, put a bit of, sand it back, just so that it's nice and rough, and put some stopper filler in it. And let that go on, and then just sand it flat with some paper. See, we're all very busy today, there's a lot going on. Folks, what we got there? Who's in the Mini? The Rottweiler's in the Mini. Yeah, that's a burglar alarm and a half, that is, isn't it? Okay, right, it's the next day now, and the roof has actually been completed. It's now in primer, and as you can see, all the holes and rust bubbles have now disappeared. It will need one final sand down, obviously, before we apply the base coat of red. What red is this? Rosso red, we think it is. I'm not sure, but it's got the paint code anyway. But so that's done now, and just coming around to the front of the bonnet now. What we probably didn't realise, but there was actually a few dents in the bonnet as well, which we've just filled over there. So that's ready to be sanded back. And as you can see, it doesn't really take too long. It's a matter of identifying the dents first. What I normally do is to go around with a black marker pen, for example, because it's very easy to miss dents if you ain't careful, and just basically ring. Like if there was a dent there, for example, I put a ring around it, and if there was a dent there, I put a ring around it, so that you actually know exactly what you're dealing with, and treat them areas, and then obviously sand the whole bonnet down as we're doing here now. We're just taking this down now with 400 paper, which gives you a nice finish for the primer to adhere to. And we had a bit of rust in this corner here, which we've actually chopped the rust out, as you can see there. We'll put a little filling panel in there, and then we've obviously got to reshape this underneath there and lift that up and actually repair that underneath there. So that's another little job which we've got doing. But as I say, the top end of the roof is actually done now. So it doesn't take long, provided you work your way around the car in segments. Treat each panel or area as a segment. I mean, for example, the door, there's hardly no rust on this door, for example. There's a little bit of bubblage there, and the rest of the doors, just giving them a quick look, for example, look pretty straight, so you won't have to prime the whole door there. All we'll do is just treat the surface with 800 wet and dry paper, or even a Scotch-Brite pad would probably do the trick. And literally just treat the areas that you need, like that for example, and then prime it, and that'll be ready for the base coat. So we'll only prime the areas we need to, for example, to say like that. So all the skirts have got to come off the wheel arches and all that, just so we can get the paint behind them, and so we don't have issues with possible peeling and stuff in the future. So yeah, it's getting there. So another day on the car on the Escort RS Turbo. So yeah, keep watching and you'll see the end result pretty shortly, hopefully, and we'll show you obviously all the stages what we're doing to get to the result. We get the end result. Thank you very much.